Well then. Welcome back, everybody, to the Square to Circle Music channel. That's right. Here you are, stuck again with your old pal Mage. That's me. So, while you're here, we're going to go over topics that we generally talk about a lot. Circles and squares. You know, record collecting. Appreciation. Music appreciation, that is. Glad I was able to rope you folks in tonight. While I got you here, go ahead and head over to the old, Instagrizzy and like me or follow me or whatever's. Give me some hearts, check out my pics and all the dorky shit I say. It's lots of fun. And like and subscribe to this channel. And I appreciate the thumbs up and the love, so thank you all very much. Head on down below in the comments and make some friends in the comments and talk to me. It's fun. And scroll down from last week. I posted a video about a contest I'm doing. So watch the contest video and enter to win my crap. It's pretty fun. That's what we do here in the VC, vinyl community. That's what I'm talking about. So all silliness aside, let's talk about some music, shall we? I wanted to do another episode this evening, speaking, specifically, particularly, about that genre that we all love so well, progressive rock. Let's talk about some prog rock today, folks. All that nerdy shit we love so well. It's been a while since I've really done anything like geared specifically at the prog. And I wanted to whip up some more tasty treats, the stuff that I bring out. Everyone loves that proggy, delicious goodness, so I'm going to keep serving it up hot and cold, however you like it. And I wanted to pick a few more from my collection that dance around in that genre. Some aren't what a lot of people would classify as kind of the classic end of progressive rock. And a lot of it's not too much further to the very other end of the spectrum either. I don't really particularly collect or listen to a lot of new progressive, neo-progressive, progressive metal. So everything that I've got is kind of like, of that kind of like middle ilk that is like, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to describe all this to you guys, but I just wanted to bring out 10 more that I haven't really talked about very much. So here we are again. I'm going to do an installment of a collection of 10 progressive albums that I feel are underrated to a certain degree, or just not talked about enough, that are kind of just like, underappreciated. So here I go. Let's do it. Number 10 tonight. I wanted to talk about this one. I had brought this up in a I don't know if it was a contest. It was either a contest or I just like kind of a thread, kind of tag you're it kind of thing. But we were talking about 3 prog records for old Glenn Kellaway. So that was fun, and I brought this one up to him. So hopefully he had a chance to check it out, and maybe some other people saw the video too, had never really caught wind of these dudes, and checked them out because they're fucking amazing. So I'll bring that out and talk about it again. I'm talking about, of course, GÖSTA BERLINGS SAGA is the name of the band. Come to find that, of course, I make lots of errors, and I misspeak quite a bit in these videos, and I'm glad that everyone out there in the community can be like, hey, dipshit, you say wrong stuff. So I corrected myself already, and now that I'm here in front of you talking, I'll correct myself again. I last time was talking about this album, I mistakenly referred to GÖSTA BERLINGS as being an actual literary figure, author of whatever. I was very wrong about that. GÖSTA BERLINGS, I guess, was a character in a famous Swedish novel. So that being said, I got my ducks in a row now. I got set straight by all you guys, so thank you very much. I always appreciate that. This album's called SAGA-SERSOPHANE. It was released in 2016, I believe. I'm often wrong about my dates as well. This one was released in 2016, SAGA-SERSOPHANE. It's called, by GÖSTA BERLINGS SAGA. Real, intricate, all instrumental, really cool, thematic, lots of Rhodes piano sounds, but as well as like other, big sounds, Mellotron, and lots of great synthesizer work. That's kind of what this album really is like I said, because it's instrumental, so you have the voicings and the melodies, obviously, being heavy, you know, on the keys. So you get that incredible drumming, incredible guitar playing, bass playing. It's really magnificent. So everyone check it out. It's definitely worth looking into. You might have a hard time finding it on LP format, but you know, go to their Bandcamp, give them, you know, $15 for their CD, whatever you can find. I discovered these guys about 10 years ago. They put out an album sometime in like the early to mid 2000s or whatever. It was called Glue Works. Really dope. Kind of mathy, you know, that album specifically too. Kind of real like mathy kind of prog. This one got like a little bit more, I wouldn't say melodic, but just kind of like more thematic, and just kind of like, you know, this one has much longer pieces on it than their earlier works. I'm sure their early work has some really lengthy songs, but this one was, you know, conceptual by design. First song on the album is called Construction with a K, and then the first song on the B-side is called Deconstruction, you know, kind of taking a little page from the King Crimson tome, you know, with the discipline and indiscipline kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, it's thematic, it's beautiful, Swedish it be. Yeah, everyone loves them damn Swedes. They're too good at what they do. So yeah, everyone go out, find this if you can. It's a fantastic album. GÖSTA BERLINGS Saga. And again, when speaking of that thread that I participated in here in the vinyl community, we were talking about old Glenn Kellaway, and we were throwing at him 3 prog greats that we love. This is another one that I suggested for him, so I'll just talk about it a little more. American prog duo of brothers. They're from Tejas, from Austin, Texas, and they're fucking incredible. Just like I said, a duo of brothers called the Hallucinant Téléphérique. Yeah, that's a mouthful, but pretty dope. What's this album called again? Sorry, Comes to Mind. I just discovered these guys. Just probably, I don't know, a few months ago, 4 months back, because they just released a new album, some of that new. This one is from 2018, I believe. So yeah, still very, very recent. But this was their first album, their introductory album. Really, I don't know, it's not bare bones, because I know there's only 2 dudes. Like the drummer is, I mentioned this in this manner before, like he does a predominance of the heavy lifting, so to speak. I mean, he's playing some really incredibly cool drum stuff, whilst, you know, he's doing other effects. I'm sure I have never seen what they can pull off live, or if they invite other musicians to join them. But in the studio, drummer, he played almost all the instrumentations. And it is mostly instrumental as well. There are a few moments, I think, where there's some lyrics and vocalizations going on, but predominantly it's instrumental. Drummer guy doing a lot of the playing on the album, and then homeboy brother just mad lead guitar playing. Really fantastic. Kind of the more heavy rock influenced as far as the guitar playing goes, and the soloing style. You really get kind of like real whining, heavy rock, blues rock of the 60s, Jimi Hendrix, you know, Eric Clapton, stuff like that. You get that kind of like screaming Fender Strat, you know, kind of vibe, whilst there's just drummer man in the back, he's playing all the synth and he's doing everything. Really wicked cool. It even has, you know, kind of vibes and feelings of, you know, older, classic progressive stuff that we love, you know. May it be Canterbury, or may it be, you know, American, whatever. So yeah, they're all over the place. They're really fucking awesome. They're worth your time. Like, and they're modern guys, like contemporary prog, awesome. Go to their Bandcamp, buy their shit. They just released a brand new album. Please forgive me, I don't recall what it is titled, but it is very likely, once I have a chance to buy the album, I don't think it's out quite yet. I think it comes out end of March. When I buy the album, which I will, I'm sure I'll spin the hell out of it, and it'll more than likely be on my top 10 of the year, until something might knock it off, but who knows? excellent band. Hallucinant Telephorique. Album's called Comes to Mind, 2018. Get it. Okay, taking it into a more kind of a classic realm, which everybody knows and loves. I know and love. Again, talking about an album, those first two were more or less kind of unknown albums that I really just wanted to bring out into the light so that people can discover them and support them. You know, this is an oldie but a goodie, and I feel that I wouldn't say they're necessarily underrated, because they are celebrated. They're quite celebrated as being one of the greatest progressive and symphonic rock groups ever, from the early and, well, I think they probably started in the late 60s, but the predominance of their career, of course, was in the early 70s, and I just don't really hear people talk about them very much when it comes to all the prog stuff. They should get some more recognition, and people should talk about them more. I love the shit out of Renaissance. And I don't know, they had a wealth of really great shit. Like I said, from 1970 to 1975, they were just like throwing them out hot and dirty. This one's, of course, you know, Ashes Are Burning. I think 1972, either 1972 or 1973, but then it was just like, you know, Scheherazade and what was the one they did in between Scheherazade and this one? Please forgive me, my timeline with these guys isn't that fantastic, because honestly, they're kind of a new group to me, having only really discovered progressive music, you know, barely 15 years ago. And these guys were kind of like, you know, much further down the road for me. You get the big five or the big six automatically just getting pumped into your head, and you just live there. You live there for years, because it takes you years to understand the magic of what's going on. So you get lost in, like I said, Big Five land, where it's just like you're just absorbing every single piece of Yes and King Crimson and Genesis and ELP and Camel that you can. And so these guys, I finally stumbled upon them, and Scheherazade was the first thing I ever heard, but totally enthralled. Totally just, I love her voice. What's her name? Anna something or other. But yeah, English progressive group, Renaissance, just absolutely the shit. Went through numerous different factions from the very, very beginning to kind of the middle career, which they're most known for, and which is obviously their best work. And they kept doing stuff, late 70s and early 80s. Numerous different people but I believe Mr. Man here, he does a lot of the piano playing, and a predominance, obviously, the male vocals. And she just sings and kicks ass, and that's all you need. It's worth everything. The title track on this really lengthy, like I said, symphonic and just really elaborate stuff they're drawing out here. Lots of lengthy tunes, especially the title track, Ashes Are Burning. I really, you know, that's what sold me on the album. But the other 2 or 3 songs, there's 6 songs on this album. So, but 3 on the front, 3 on the back, A and B, they kill the album. They extinguish the light with Ashes Are Burning. Yeah, Let It Grow is a fantastic song on the Frontier as well. Dude, The Carpet of the Sun. I forgot about that song. That's a magnificent song too. So that's the first one on site too. Yeah, everyone check out Ashes Are Burning by Renaissance if you haven't really given them a shot. And if you like stuff that's, I'd say, far more kind of like symphonic and that kind of real great kind of, you know, cathedral, you know, Renaissance 15th, 16th century kind of like feel, more so than like what people get, the joy that people get from Jethro Tull. I understand the joy and, you know, wonder that people get from Jethro Tull. I don't particularly like Jethro Tull. You know, sorry. I'm sorry. Thick as a Brick is dope, but that's where it begins and ends for me. Anyway, they have that kind of like, you know, like I said, that kind of 15th, 16th century, you know, just madrigals and flute in the woods and going to the Renaissance fair. They're not like that, though. I don't get the super, you know, mega dork stuff from them. It's really elaborate, beautiful stuff. So heavily, you know, a lot of the juju placed heavily on the composition of what they were doing, rather than the instrumentation. You know what I mean? you know, you don't get a lot of like really impressive technicality out of this like you do out of, you know, King Crimson and Yes and whatnot. This is kind of more about the overall presentation vibe, theatrical nature of it. And I respect the shit out of that. So, love Renaissance. Sorry, everybody, I'm really rambling tonight. Excited to be talking about Prog. You guys know how it is. I always do my other lots of other goofy, stupid vignettes and things that I like to kind of do. I hope everyone appreciates my most of the time terrible sense of humor. But, you know, why do these videos if I'm just gonna, you know, gab about fucking the same 10 records all the time? You gotta throw a little bit of fun into the mix, right? A little bit of goofy shit. So let's goof around some more. That was like number 3 on 10 more underrated and lesser known prog less talked about. Let's talk about one a lot of people probably wouldn't necessarily categorize that this in the prog rock category. But in the, you know, one of those what's the term that everyone likes to use? Prog rock adjunct or something like that. I don't know. These guys are on that list of something that is just kind of like in a pseudo subgenre to just prog rock. Because mostly it's just kind of like cool 70s, you know, blues rock mixed with some it's a psychedelic rock album, really. But I get lots of really cool progressive elements from it, and kind of fits into that kind of, you know, middle period of like early 70s kind of progressive outfits. I believe these guys, fuck me, I don't know if they're English. I feel bad now too, because a lot of folks that chit chat with me on the YouTubes and the channel and the vinyl community, a lot of you cats are from the UK and in Europe and everywhere in the world, but mostly, of course, in Europe, Central Europe and the United Kingdom. So I feel bad that I don't really understand a lot of the subcultures that are in and around, you know. I'm sorry if I call you English and you're Welsh. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I think these guys are English, I think. And their album is called The Welsh Connection, and they're just called Man. They've had a couple albums. Their first one was pretty fucking cool too. But I really like this one, The Welsh Connection. It has, like I said, real groovy, you know, weirdo, atmospheric, kind of dark, prog, blues, psychedelic stuff. I just feel like I'm on like a weird ass like Twilight Zone night ride on a train, you know, and somebody, you know, dosed me with peyote or something, you know, and that's what this album feels like. It feels like a weird trip on a weird trip. I like the shit out of it. The vocals are fantastic. All the, you know, the compositions and arrangements are fantastic. It's real, just kind of straightforward. I wouldn't say it's kind of milquetoast by any mean, but it is. It's just straightforward. There's not a lot of like real amazing highs, and, you know, not a ton of like subtlety to it either. It just kind of like plods along, and it's really fun. It's a great listen. Yeah, everyone check it out if you haven't ever listened to Man. I believe 1974 or 5 for this one, Welsh Connection. Sorry, a little bit later. It's 1976. So yeah, you get what I'm saying. Kind of like that later 70s, more just kind of like on the cusp of disco in a sense, but that psychedelic kind of blues rock, but low key. There's some dancey moments in there, you know, like akin to what, you know, you'd hear from like Eloy in that period in time, akin to what Camel was doing in 1976, 1977 with Rain Dances. Yeah, that's the vibe I get from it. So that's why I enjoyed it so much. And like I said, I kind of like, I lump it into that prog rock category, even though it doesn't quite embody, you know, a plethora of the makings, the descriptions of what people, you know, say prog really is. So love the shit out of it though. Everybody check it out. Welsh Connection, 1976 by the band Man. Kind of unknown, so I guess. all you dudes and dudettes that obviously live in Europe are gonna make fun of me. Oh, you've never listened to that? No, I know. I guess I'm kind of a young buck still. I'm a young buck in the community of dudes that talk about prog. I've definitely come to learn that. That even being in your, your early 40s, you can still be a young buck greenhorn in a lot of ways. So isn't that what great, about the vinyl community? I love that about the vinyl community, is the fact that, like, yeah, I've been a lifelong appreciator and musician and and listener and everything. Like, I've been listening to music for fucking 40 years. So I definitely know what's good. I like to think. But yeah, I'm still kind of a greenhorn here in the progressive rock community, so it's fun for me. Anyway, let's keep talking about the tunes, right? Moving along, this is a more recent discovery for me. It's really cool. Again, another one of those that could just like, this might just kind of not be categorized in the prog rock section in a lot of people's record collection, because it definitely borders the more just kind of like psychedelic hard rock, psych, blues stuff that was going on in the late 60s, early 70s. I believe this band is from, I think, Belgium, which is cool. I've never really discovered a lot of music from Belgium, so cool things coming out of Belgium in 1970. Fuck me, I don't recall in my research about this band the release date of this album, but I'm sure someone will mention it, or I'll just end up looking up the date for myself. But this is an album by a band called Dragon, and the name of the album is just, it's eponymous, self-titled, Dragon, a Belgian kind of heavy prog psych group. Really fucking cool. Really fun listen. I really dig where they go. Again, what prog does well, some really fantastic subtle moments and some really cool, fun, high moments, and more on the end of the kind of heavy psych stuff. Again, some really ripping, fantastic guitar soloing, reminiscent of what you were hearing just out of the guitar greats of that era of the late 60s and early 70s, akin to Jimi Hendrix and everything that was going on there. But yeah, I can't really say a whole lot more about this group because, like I said, a kind of fairly new discovery for me. So I was really stoked I could find a copy of this, and it sounds magnificent. This is a recent reissue, obviously, of it. The original pressing of this from Belgium, I think it was only pressed in Belgium. So, an original first pressings or whatever of this will be $300 or $400, quite likely. So I found one for like $39.95. I think I paid for this, and I love the art. Really fantastic listen. So yeah, anyone likes the kind of heavier side of prog, the more psychedelic kind of shit, check out Belgian prog heavy rock band Dragon. Pretty sick. I'd never heard of it. Quite a bit lesser known, I suppose, right? Okay, another one that, where do these guys come from? Again, obviously they come from somewhere in Europe. I don't remember seeing where these guys came from, but I discovered them a couple of years ago. They popped up on like, a Pandora playlist or some shit like that, but I really had to, because I don't know, they sound like American prog to me, and I think I was like really gearing toward trying to find something that was American. There's not a lot of like great American prog from, the 70s, the era that we love so dear. And that's when I stumbled across this LP, and really, really fantastic. Of course, someone's going to correct me. They're definitely not American. I think they're probably Swedish. But they're called Wigwam. Wigwam, and this album is called Nuclear Nightclub, right? Nuclear Nightclub. Really cool. Like I said, I likened it to what I was wanting to try to like search for and hearing like American progressive rock. I was like, oh, okay, Star Castle, and like I hear some stuff in there. But even more so, like I hear like I hear hippie rock, and it's like kind of like hippie jam rock. The singer reminds me a lot of Jerry Garcia. Got a really kind of really mellow, bluesy kind of really just mellow delivery, and it kind of almost like it's kind of spoken. There's a term for it. I can't remember what the term is, but just kind of like, you know, sing song, like spoken word almost, but still using some melody in his voice. So, you know, sometimes gives you that kind of like reminiscence of like Bob Dylan, Jerry Garcia, and even the music too. It reeks of kind of like early 70s Dead. Really cool stuff. I like it. I think it was released in 1972. Pardon me, 1975. I believe they are Swedish because this was recorded in Stockholm. Yeah, I don't know. So fuck me. I really should be doing some research, right? I don't know. I kind of just focus more on just like listening to the music. But if I'm going to talk at you guys, I really should know what the hell I'm talking about, right? Anyway, Nuclear Nightclub by the band Wigwam. Everyone check it out. It's fantastic. What more can be said? I don't really say much, do I? It's great, everybody. Listen. So yeah, just fucking listen. I had never heard of this shit, so I assume, you know, 5 out of 7 people probably haven't really ever heard of this. So get out there and check it out. I hope everybody's having fun. Thanks again for talking about something I love so dear with me. Yeah, I love progressive music. Really another cool discovery. I have brought this up before on an episode. I don't know. It was maybe, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months ago already now. And I think I brought this up on an episode of like, you know, kind of a recent spins kind of episode or whatever, like, hey guys, this is what I'm listening to right now, you know, one of those types of videos. And yeah, fucking cool discovery. More along the lines of what was going on, I wouldn't say neo-prog, but definitely beyond the era of kind of the golden age of prog. This was an album released, I believe, in 1984. But all throughout Europe, you know, in greater parts of like Central and Eastern Europe, everyone was still like catching that wave of everything that was kind of blowing easterly from the United Kingdom. And it stopped in Hungary, and these Hungarian dudes, they're fucking magnificent, called Solaris. The band Solaris from Hungary. This album, I think 1984 released. I'm not finding oh yeah, it was 1984. And the album's called MARSBELI KRONIKAK. Yeah, the Hungarian language is cool. MARSBELI means Mars, and KRONIKAK means chronicles. So yeah, it's a thematic album about the Martian chronicles. Really cool. But early 80s prog rock, like I said, getting that kind of aftershock wave, you know, from the bomb dropped in the UK. And then these guys caught wind, I'm sure much earlier. This album released in 1984 though, so it's just dripping with really fantastic synthesizer work, modern day for the early 80s. So it was like far beyond technologically, like, you know, of what was happening in the early days of prog. So it's still progressive, but you get that awesome 80s synth sound, lots of big, heavy, crazy, cool droning synth, but a lot of fantastic, almost kind of heavy metal guitar work on this. I wouldn't say heavy metal, but I'd say what was heavy metal in 1984? Yeah, sure, fuck yeah. I mean, you sound like it sounds sometimes like you're listening to Iron Maiden, and it sounds sometimes like you're listening to, like, you know, that type of stuff that was going on, you know, Def Leppard and whatever else, you know. Those are the kind of cool, fun guitar sounds you're getting, as well as like some really great technical playing. And so, yeah, but then it just goes to Nerdville again, you know, and you're definitely listening to some really awesome, cool, kind of classic proggy stuff. Really cool fucking artwork, you know, all throughout the album, on the back too. But yeah, everything is in Hungarian. What a really unique, interesting, fascinating, fucking cool language. I mean, fascinating to me, who's, you know, some moron from the United States who only speaks, you know, shitty English. So, but yeah, really fascinating, cool shit. and this is all instrumental. So unfortunately, there's no like fucking rockin' awesome singing in Hungarian, but you know, we all love instrumental, technical, cool, almost kind of like pseudo, you know, proto prog metal in a sense. So yeah, everybody check it out. Solaris and their ode to the Martian Chronicles, Marsbeli, KRONIKAK. It's fantastic. Check it. Okay, we're just cruising right along here, pounding all of the goods into just a quick amount of time if I can. I know that these episodes really go on far too long, don't they, everybody? Subjecting you all to such incessant ramblings all the time and my goofy sense of humor and whatever else, but I really want to just make it about the music. I really do. It's not about me. I know it seems like it is, but it's not about me, man. Like, I just love sharing music with people. And I know that if I pay my due diligence with doing what I'm doing here in these videos, that I'm going to get back what I put into it, because people share new shit with me and they prop me up and we prop each other up, and it makes for a much funner experience and a much more fruitful life. So again, thanks for hanging out with me all the time on these videos and listening to me babble about stuff. So let's talk some more about music, shall we? This dude, this was a recent discovery for me again. Even still, like I've said, I only really started listening to prog about 15 years ago. So everything's a new experience for me, according to most people who have been, you know, neck deep in this genre since 1969. Yeah, anyway, newish discovery for me, really fun, amazing fucking album that I now adore to death. I'm talking about Eddie Jobson's album. They call it I think it's just called the Green Album, right? But I don't know if it's self-titled, just because, and I think the supporting band that he plays with was called ZINC. So it's just Eddie Jobson / ZINC, and I believe it's called the Green Album. But oh yeah, on the spine says it right there, the Green Album. So I wasn't sure if they just call it like the Green Album, like the White Album or something, just because it's got a cool green fucking, you know, whatever, geometric shape on it. But Eddie Jobson's the shit. He's a multi-instrumentalist, madman, amazing keyboardist, and even more accomplished violin player. And I'm sure the dude plays all the instruments. So if you're a fucking pianist and you play a mean violin, chances are you play every fucking instrument. So anyway, but he likes to focus on really kick-ass keyboarding, amazing synth work. This is very, very drippy with, like, you know, prog, new in the 80s. Like, so I've discovered him because I heard that he was in Yes for like 5 minutes. Like, he was in Yes for 5 minutes, basically. They needed a keyboardist, and Tony Banks wasn't doing it. Or what's his name? Tony Kaye, sorry. Tony Banks was the keyboardist for Genesis. Anyway, Tony Kaye wasn't sure that he wanted to do Yes again, and he was, I don't know, probably aging. I don't know the story specifically, but they weren't sure in 1983 that they had Tony Kaye on board, and they were going on tour for 90125, which is crazy too, because I don't know who fucking played all the keys on that. Probably Trevor Rabin. I've looked into it, and Tony Kaye is credited for being a songwriter on a couple of tracks, but Rabin and Squire and Anderson were credited for everything else. So I don't know who played the fucking keys, mostly on 90125. Either way, they needed to go on the road to promote that insanely ridiculous, successful album that went fucking, 80 times fucking platinum by 1984. And so they knew him through the grapevine, I'm sure. And they're like, Jobson, we need you. And he did. He joined the band for like a couple days. They shot the video for Owner of a Lonely Heart, and he appeared in the video. And that was it. He didn't even go on the tour with them. Because then Tony Kaye was like, I had to pay off a couple things and yada yada. So there it went. But my point was, this album is fucking sick, and you can tell that he was boning up to be the keyboardist in Prog heavyweight master band, yes, and their 80s faction, which, like I said, just absolutely, like, you know, resurfaced the face of the earth in terms of, you know, what was going on in the pop world, popular music, as well as, you know, I guess you could say progressive rock. They weren't necessarily a prog band at that point in time anymore, but they were still, like I said, reshaping the world. We didn't come here to talk about Yes Major. Fuck, we're talking about Eddie Jobson and his magnificent album, The Green Album. And he was honed to razor sharp everything. His songwriting skills, his piano, his electric violin, everything. And all of the folks that he invited to come play on the album, who were attributing to vocals and guitar playing and stuff. Who came on here? Did fuck, I don't even know. I remember hearing that there was a bunch of guest musicians on here. Lots of famous names. Please forgive me while I dig. I don't know. I'm tripping. Anyway, do the research yourself. Yeah, there's 4 different guitar players on here, but none of them I've ever heard of. Interesting. Yeah, 4 different guitar players, 2 different bass players, but Eddie Jobson plays every fucking thing else, except for drums. So it's magnificent, a magnificent piece of work. Very 80s prog, heavy on the synth, driving, really cool, but still very, very experimental, likened to, you know, what Happy the Man was doing in the early 80s. Yeah, really eccentric, and I wouldn't say avant. It still has lots of pop sensibility to it, but yeah, as avant as you can go and still have really fucking cool, catchy hooks and stuff. So love the shit out of Eddie Jobson. All right, folks, we're going to kind of like start to begin to, you know, bring it to a close here. I think I have maybe like two or three more. So, yeah, number 2 on my 10 more underrated and or lesser known prog greats. This one's huge for me. Discovered these guys, I don't know, years and years ago. Funny story, because I had just discovered Wobbler. You know, this was like 10 years ago. I had just discovered Wobbler, Rights at Dawn, and I was just like, oh my God, you know, I felt like I felt the first time I ever heard Yes. You know, where has this been all my life? You know, Wobbler just took the baton, no problem, just kept fucking running for the gold. Magnificent shit. And whilst I was like going through this newfound like phase where I was just like, oh my God, I'm in love. You're checking out social media and you're looking for stuff about the band and where you can buy their records and blah, blah, blah. You inevitably stumble upon just like their Facebook page. Well, that's what I did. I just was like, oh, cool, they have a Facebook. And I liked on their Facebook. And then I noticed that their bass player, is his name Christian? Fuck me, I can't remember his name. I think it's Christian. Their bass player was on like some thread and commented some shit. And so I just like, well, you know, I commented on something and he responded. And like there was like 2 or 3 days where we had correspondence just talking about shit. There's nothing. It's like, yeah, man, you know, I live in the Pacific Northwest and I wish you guys would come to Oregon, you know, and he just immediately chimed in. We had this great conversation for like 3 days over Facebook Messenger with the bass player of fucking Wobbler. And we were talking about what inspires the band and some of his favorite shit. And he mentioned these guys. So I got this as a recommendation from the bass player of Wobbler. Fuck me, I forget your name. I think it's Christian. But anyway, amazing fucking bass player. And even more of a really nice guy to just sit and chit chat with some douchebag, you know, in the States for a long time. It was really fun. But this being a huge inspiration for the neo-prog fantastic group Wobbler, he recommended this group to me. Cathedral, an American An American prog band. Oh my God, an American prog band. Can you believe it? I think this was released sometime in like the mid 70s. I want to say 74, 73, 74. I know that's good. I guess that's not really the mid 70s, but whatever. It's still kind of closer to the mid 70s than it is the early 70s. Am I right? Am I right? Cathedral, and their album's called Stained Glass Stories. Yeah, this is definitely a repress from, it's an American repress, but like from a few years after they initially pressed it, because original only presses of this, of course, out of print and go for, I think the last one I saw was about $2,000. Yeah, somewhere between, usually between $1,500 and $2,000 for an OP of this. So fuck that. And unfortunate, because the original pressing art is so much better than this cover art. Hate to knock it, but you know, it's really not fantastic. And sorry about the glare, everybody. I've got it in a polypro because one of the things I hate about long play 12-inch records is when some groups are not huge and they aren't backed by a large, you know, record label to help them put out their records. They have to do it pseudo independently, or with, you know, they got to cut costs. They got to do it however they can do it. And this is one of those really obnoxious three-way cut. So just the spine unfolds into a, I guess it's supposed to be a poster for someone, but it's really ugly art and it's really kind of stupid. So who would really want to like hang this on their wall? Honestly, that's my opinion, but whatever. The original art is so much nicer, very kind of like pastoral landscape that's reminiscent of like, you know, Roger Dean art and stuff like that. You can tell where they get their inspirations, obviously, from the Canterbury greats. You hear it in their music, you just kind of feel it in their aesthetic and everything they're doing and all their lyrics. First side is, you know, a really kind of like grandiose opening, you know, theme to the album. And it's, you know, 12 or 13 minutes, I believe. And then they finish out the A side with like an instrumental outro track that's like 7 minutes long. And so, yeah, that song's called Introspect. Really fantastic. You know, like I said, they did what, you know, what Genesis was known for, as just having these like really grand epic tunes and then wonderful little kind of like outro madrigal type of things where you just immediately just shoot your fucking wad, and then you need like 5 minutes to just kind of like, oh man, that was fucking great. Wobbler does the same thing every album, except for, you know, save for their third album. Rights at Dawn was a little bit more kind of like wham, bam, wham, bam, wham, bam, like 7 fucking dope songs all in a row. From Silence to Somewhere kind of really took that, again, that formula that they kind of started with their first 2 albums back in the Salad days, you know, Afterglow and what was the other one? The one before their first album. Fuck me. I can't remember the name of their first album. I'm a bad fan. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. Those kind of the epic journeys and just kind of the formula of how they piece it together. Wobbler does it. Genesis did it. These guys did it. It's the same beautiful formula. And then, you know, B-side, just kind of like 3 magnificent songs, all within about like, you know, the 7 to 11 minute range. And it's shaped beautifully. Yeah, they're the best American prog band I've ever come across. They're fucking fantastic. Cathedral, Stained Glass Stories. Everyone, if you ever come across this, fucking get it. It's great. So I'm gonna do an honorable mention here because I had 11 on the list in the pile. I didn't want to put this one back because I truly feel, and I've said it before, that one was kind of more like a lesser known. It's definitely not unknown. I've definitely heard all of you, you know, super prog, superhero prog guys. I know you've all talked about it and everyone shares it and everyone talks about it. So I wouldn't say it's, you know, rare or untalked about or whatever. It's not underrated by any means, but I just don't hear it talked about a lot. And I want some of like the dudes and dudettes and people in between that are just now kind of getting into prog. Like if they stumble across this video, I want to make sure they know about it. So yeah, that was the point of that. And what I was getting into and their formula and their style and where they got it from I just have to mention this band because they're obviously, you know, big five prog guys, and this album doesn't get enough of, it just doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. I don't really ever see anyone bring it up, talk about it at all. How I did like in my first video a year ago when I was talking about underrated and lesser known prog thing, and I brought up Relayer. 1974's Relayer by Yes. And everyone went, whatever, dipshit, fucking, that's always on everyone's top Yes albums. It's always like at least like number 4 or number 6 or whatever. You know, it's like, come on, whatever. I feel the same way about this. No one really does ever talk about it. And they should, because it's fucking fantastic. I was actually just having a conversation with a dude on the page about this, chit-chatting back and forth about when Steve Hackett left Genesis. And this was really the kind of the end of the days with Steve Hackett. And I adore this album. I really truly feel like it's pretty underrated as far as a lot of people who are huge Genesis fans and people who are just prog fans in general. People don't talk about this. I love the fucking art. I love the entire aesthetic of this album. This was really, I mean, Phil Collins had basically taken over the heavy lifting a year prior with the Trick of a Tail album, and was really kind of like, had grown into it and really had his time to kind of like stretch out. And you can tell on this album, Steve Hackett's playing is all just the, you know, top of his fucking game. Really just sonically pleasing. All of these fucking songs. It's got like 4 of my favorite Genesis songs on here. The 11th Earl of Mar, it's a great album opener. It's really quirky and fun in parts. It's really intense and beautiful in parts. Your Own Special Way is good in its own right, but One for the Vine, just prior to that song, is also an amazing fucking song. I mean, Blood on the Rooftops is great. I love that, you know, I love you. I love your culture, all you British folks, all you folks in the UK. I love it. I love your culture. I feel like I belong over there. But yeah, Slumbers for Sleepers, In That Quiet Earth. I mean, give me a fucking break. In That Quiet Earth alone, you know, is worth buying this album. So anyone that likes kind of, you know, more mellow, kind of like latter day prog stuff, more just kind of like a, I don't know. I feel like it's a mellow album, but I don't want to say it's just like mellow, you know, that's a really lazy term, but I don't know. It doesn't like give me the fireworks in my brain like a lot of like crazy, you know, mega prog was happening in like 74, 75, 76. I don't get all those like, you know, fireworks going off in my brain where it just like feeds all that shit that I need. Like this feels just more like a really great, like a pop album. It's still prog, it's still beautiful, it still has everything that we require, all of the calling cards. But it's very just lyrical and thematic and beautiful, and it just kind of feels like a pop album. Feels like Phil Collins had a pop career of brewing, and you know, maybe that's why Hackett took a hike. But again, I was having a conversation with a dude. Really enjoyed your conversation, my man. I can't remember your name, but you'll know who you are. We were having that conversation just about what's fantastic and Steve Hackett, and it's just so fantastic. But how he just inevitably, you know, with Gabriel kind of wanted control of everything, and then suddenly I guess Tony Banks wanted, you know, control a lot and was writing a lot of stuff, and just whatever. Phil Collins takes over, and I guess Hackett was just done with it. So too bad we lost Hackett. This was his last album. But yeah, I just think it's fan-fucking-tastic. Doesn't really ever get talked about much. So I wanted to honorable mention Genesis's album 1976, Wind and Wuthering is called. So if anyone's never listened to this, like, and you love, you know, Foxtrot, and you love, you know, all that stuff, Selling in England by the Pound, if you love Genesis, you know, you will love this too. Phil Collins is on fucking fire on this album. He's amazing. Okay. Gonna just button all this up, folks. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Your pal Aaron Major here at the Square to Circle Music channel. Don't forget to head over to Instagram and check me out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to everything I do. And don't forget to go into my contest video. Go watch my contest video. Tell me the 4 desert island records you would take with you to said desert island where you're going to die. So take something great. 4 of them. Take 4 great albums, because that's all you get to listen to until you die. And crabs come up and eat your dead corpse and all in your eyeballs and stuff. Wouldn't that be awesome? Tell me those 4 and put them in the comments below so I know what they are and I know who you are. I can see your face and see your name, and I'll know that you subscribe, because you wouldn't dare leave a comment on my YouTube channel without subscribing, would you? I know you wouldn't. So yeah, do all that stupid shit. This is the last one I want to talk about. These fucking guys are so magnificent. I've talked about them many, many, many times, and honestly, I don't think I've really ever shown any of what I have. I've had a lot of their albums in the past, and there's so many fucking albums. I think they just celebrated their 20th album of their career, which has honestly only been about, what, 12 years, guys? I think the first album they put out as a band with the name, I don't know, it was probably, yeah, 2008 maybe? I don't recall. What a bulk of work in such a short time. It can't be likened to anyone else. To any, I don't know, maybe, I don't know that much about music, but who does this? Who puts out 2 albums a year or more for 10 years straight? Who does that? These guys do. I'm talking about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They're an Australian psychedelic everything. They play fucking everything. They've had crazy, like, borderline metal albums. They've had crazy, anyone that listens to the band knows what I'm talking about. You've got to check them out. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and their 13th album, I don't know, 12th album maybe. you fucking lose count when 3 King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard albums come out every year. You can't keep up. But this one resonates. This one truly resonates. It's called POLYGONDWANALAND. POLYGONDWANALAND. I think 2015 maybe, 2016, something like that. I fucking love this cover. It's so fucking cool. Like I said, yeah, just if you haven't heard of these guys, they're insane. Psychedelic, sometimes heavy rock, sometimes not, sometimes crazy, weird. I can't even describe it. I'm talking about the Paper Mache Balloon album. How I entreat anyone that's watching this right now or ends up watching this, like, please go into the comments and stick that album in a category, please. Put me in a genre. Says King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's Paper Mache Balloon. That album that came out like in, what, 2015, maybe 2016? Anyway, yeah, sometimes these guys just defy categorization, genre, whatever. They're a rock and roll band. They're psychedelic. They're crazy. They're fun. Sometimes they do some incredibly interesting, amazing shit. And that's what this is. It's their closest thing to prog that they've ever done. And it's prog as fuck. Like, it's amazing. It goes all over the place. I can't even sit down and begin to talk about this album. What an insane roller coaster, drug fueled, beer soaked nut job of a ride this shit is. I mean, even look at the cover. It looks like it's some sort of weird ass, like you're headed into the devil's mouth, like into the gates of hell on a roller coaster ride of eternity. And like, I could sit and look at this fucking cover. You see all kinds of weird ass painting and all kinds of crazy shit going on here that you guys can't see. I mean, I don't know. Has anybody ever been slipped like some fucking some DMT by accident? Like, you guys didn't have a friend that had a crazy older brother that you thought you were taking just a gravity bong hit, and you actually took like a monster to the dome like DMT hit and just went and blacked out on a couch for like an hour? This is what you see. This is what you see. It's pretty fun. I don't know, it was either DMT or it was fucking, what's that other stuff? Salvia. It was something like that. Anyway, this is what you hear and see. if that ever happens to you, it's kind of fun, kind of pleasant. This album is amazing. It's very pleasant. It's very fun. It's very exciting. There's all kinds of twisting rhythms. There's all kinds of twisting melodies. There's some solid, you know, pop stuff on here. It's all mixed with everything. And I guarantee you, it will tickle the ball sack of every single one of you people that are Prog, Prog flavored people. This will tickle your balls. I promise. It's fucking amazing. Polygondwanaland by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Everybody's got to get it. Like I said, the closest thing, in my opinion, the closest thing that they ever did, closest thing to Prog. The rest of it, like I said, it's a wild ride. Check it all out. It's all worth a listen. They're on top of the world right now. The newest album that they put out, the Butterfly 3000 album, is fucking amazing. It's fucking dope shit. So yeah. Okay, everybody. I'll wrap it up. Again, do all the things and like all the stuff and go find me. Thanks for watching. Keep them clean. And, you know, I love you guys. Peace be with you.